Hello, aspiring hunters. Welcome to the Hunter Experience. Gon's grandfather, Don Freecss, may have become a villain, or perhaps something beyond what we know as human on the Dark Continent. This possibility opens the door to changing everything within the Hunter x Hunter universe. In today's video, I'm going to explain all of this to you. If you're prepared for the incredible Hunter journey, click like and subscribe to the channel to join our troop. Don't forget to comment on who your favorite character is in Hunter x Hunter. Now, let's continue with this incredible story. Guys, author Yoshihiro Togashi has always left room for his narratives to be interpreted ambiguously, often raising questions that make us reflect more than they provide direct answers. I'll start this video with some possibilities and connections based on what we know so far from the manga chapters and the information from the New Continent Journal. First, we need to look at Don Freecss as a central figure. He was described as someone who lived over 300 years ago, which already places his existence on an unusual, almost legendary level. King Freecss, Gon's father, theorizes that Don is still alive and continues to write the second part of his journal, West, which has never been found. And this raises a natural question. How could someone live for so long? Logically, one might think that Don found something on the Dark Continent, perhaps a source of longevity, a special nen, or a biological alteration caused by one of the local calamities. I believe this last possibility, that Don was transformed by something on the Dark Continent, is the most likely, considering the dark and dangerous tone that Togashi has set for this region of the world. Now, the Dark Continent is a land full of mysteries and dangers, with the so-called 5 threats being the greatest example of how humanity has barely scratched the surface of what lies there. Brion, one of these threats, is described as a botanical weapon located in a labyrinthine city near Mobius Lake. The account of the elite forces from the United States of Saherta, who were devastated by Brion, is terrifying and shows that this being has an extremely high threat level. It is capable of wiping out entire groups effortlessly, making it even more dangerous than the Chimera ants. Additionally, Brion has an appearance that blends the natural and the human, as it is described as a sphere mounted on top of a human body. This description opens the door to the theory that Brion could actually be the result of a transformation something or someone that was altered by the hostile environment of the Dark Continent itself. Think about it. What if Don Freecss, during his journey to explore and document the secrets of the Dark Continent, encountered something so dangerous and unknown that it completely changed his existence? It's possible that he was exposed to Brion's pollen or spores, or to a similar entity which transformed him. If Brion is capable of controlling human hosts and using them as extensions of itself, perhaps Don resisted the complete loss of his identity due to his physical strength or exceptional mastery of Nen, but was still profoundly affected. He could have become a hybrid, a bridge between human and calamity. In this state, it's plausible that Don no longer recognizes himself as Don Freecss, but instead as part of the ecosystem, or the will of the Dark Continent. Following this line of thought, some connections with the New Continent Journal start making more sense. The East Volume, which is in the hands of the AV6, records information about the part of the Dark Continent explored by Don. It is likely that he found medicinal herbs, fantastic animals, and other natural riches. But the fact that the West Volume was never found is peculiar. I think that perhaps Don tried to explore the west side of the continent, where who knows, Brion or a similar entity resides. This would explain why he never finished or delivered the journal. Maybe he never got the chance. Or, worse yet, maybe he encountered something so terrifying that it transformed him forever, making it impossible for him to return to the human world. One of the strongest pieces of evidence supporting this theory is the description of the place where Brion was found. A labyrinthine city surrounded by a sea of trees. Sounds like the kind of place someone like Don Freecss, a fearless and curious explorer, would definitely want to venture into. The temptation to uncover more about such an enigmatic location, especially if he believed it held the key to deciphering the secrets of the Dark Continent, would be irresistible for someone like him. And if this curiosity led him to Brion, perhaps the price he paid was his own humanity. Another interesting point is the idea that Brion plants seeds inside its host to reproduce. If Don was infected, perhaps he didn't just become part of Brion, but also started acting as a guardian of the place, protecting it from intruders and ensuring that no one else took the medicinal herbs or other precious resources. This would make him not just a victim, but also a protector, someone who was transformed against his will, but now serves a greater purpose, even if unconscious. King Freecss mentions that Don might still be alive, and I don't think this statement is just a random guess. King is a strategist. Someone who doesn't make baseless assumptions. Perhaps he has information about Brion or other entities of the Dark Continent that lead him to believe Don could have survived there for so long. And if Ging suspects that Don might be alive, it's also possible that he's considering the possibility that Don is no longer human, or that he is trapped in some intermediate state, struggling to maintain his consciousness while being influenced by forces greater than himself. However, if Don has become something beyond human, Gon's journey could take a new direction. After losing his Nen, Gon finds himself in a desperate situation, where the only way to regain his strength and motivation to move forward would be to embark on a journey to the Dark Continent. For Gon, this would not only represent a chance to recover his power, but also an opportunity to understand what happened to his grandfather and who he has become. The idea we've discussed before, that Gon might go to the Dark Continent in search of regaining his Nen, would open up many possibilities. The discovery that Don may have transformed into something more than just a great explorer could be the key factor in motivating Gon to venture into the Dark Continent, even knowing the unspeakable dangers that this place presents. The Dark Continent is an extremely dangerous territory, where even the most powerful organizations in the world fail to handle its threats. If Gon ventures there, he will likely encounter beings and situations that challenge all his notions of right and wrong. The Dark Continent is not just a physical place, but also a psychological space where the boundaries of morality are blurred. Gon will have to confront his own nature, his past decisions, and the consequences of his actions. Will he be able to stay true to his ideals of justice, even when faced with the creatures and mysteries that inhabit that place? Or will he be forced to adopt a new perspective, perhaps even becoming as relentless as the entities he will face? Another interesting possibility is the idea that Gon's blood could play a crucial role in recovering his Nen, or even in bringing Don back. Gon's blood, being directly related to Don Freecss, might contain traces of a unique lineage, shaped by his grandfather's experiences in the Dark Continent. The fact that Gon has a very peculiar relationship with Nen and his abilities already shows us that he is not an ordinary person, but someone with the potential to achieve extraordinary things. His search for his lost Nen could thus turn into a journey not just to regain his abilities, but to understand the deeper implications of his lineage and destiny. It is possible that Gon's blood is somehow connected to the very essence of the Dark Continent. If Don was transformed by mysterious forces there, perhaps the bond between Gon and his grandfather is more than just familial. Perhaps there is a deeper connection that goes back to something more primal and uncontrollable. If Don has become some sort of hybrid or entity in the Dark Continent, Gon's blood might be the key to restoring his Nen, or even bringing Don back, not necessarily in the sense of returning him to how he was before, but perhaps restoring the human consciousness or essence lost through his transformation. The Dark Continent, with its calamities, threats, and mysteries, is the perfect stage for Gon and other characters to explore the limits of human power and Nen. This place not only presents new enemies, but also provides new philosophical and psychological challenges. An encounter with entities like Brion or the forces that transformed Don would push Gon to confront his own limits, both physically and morally. He would have to ask himself how far he is willing to go to reclaim his power and save his grandfather, if that is even possible. The Dark Continent is also a place where the very definition of being human can be challenged. By interacting with transformed beings and alien forces, Gon may be forced to reconsider his own beliefs about human nature and morality. He may come to realize that the line between good and evil is thinner than he once thought. This would be the perfect ground for Gon's growth, leading him to evolve as a character, and perhaps even reach new levels of understanding about Nen and his own identity. With all of this in mind, we can think that perhaps Gon's true destiny is to be in that place, where his true power might finally be revealed. What do you think about this? Leave your comments. Hunters, that was our video for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed our video, subscribe to the channel as it is still very new, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.